Discussion with possible action regarding funding for RCIDA, Rogers County Industrial Development Authority. Commissioner Thacker.
Yes, sir. I don't recall if it was at this time last year, but we did send some money to RCIDA. The director, Mickey Thompson, is here to discuss why or if they need the money, but it was about that time.
Okay.
If I can come up or
Mickey,
something.
come out up here.
How are you?
Good.
It has been a year. We still have the $300,000. Thank you very much. We are entering into a period of time where we need to spend that money and hopefully have some more money to spend. Our strategy almost entirely at this point, other than taking care of people who call us and say they'd like to take a look out here, is we have an idea about how to build buildings on a shell basis, which means just the steel, skin, no floor, stem walls, doors, minimum electricity, just so you can show the building in the dark. The idea is that we will be able to convert those buildings into usable space within 60 to 90 days. We can expand them to 5 times the base size, which is 9,000 square feet, expand it to 54,000 in about a 90-day period of time. The reason is because we own, control the land. We have a town, Inola, that's willing to work with us to make sure we have no slowdowns in terms of inspections or permitting or that sort of thing. We're doing something similar in Chelsea, I think, with participation from Chelsea. We have a building under construction in Ulaga now that has a tenant ready for it. The idea is that we've got enough financing income to build that core building, 9,000 square feet. The problem is that somebody says, okay, big boy, let's see if we can put a concrete floor in it. Crane way, we've got a major problem. And that is we don't have any money to build that. I'm hoping that there is money available to do economic development in Rogers County still yet. But if there is not, we will figure a way to do something. And what I would ask you to do in lieu of that is then authorize the RCIDA board to borrow money on a relatively short-term basis to put the building up until we can get it sold or closed, or to lease it. Leasing is the most profitable to us. Gets us a little closer to that place where we can take care of ourselves. Selling it is second best, but you do what the market says do, and we don't know what that's going to be. We do know building that 9,000 square foot building the way we have it designed gives us the greatest flexibility. If we just hit the wall and nobody wants to move into a 9,000 square foot building, it is designed so we can divide it in thirds and lease it that way, which is not dissimilar to what we're doing now with our incubator space. Be happy to answer questions. I probably told you what you want to know.
Any questions? Contractual agreement for all this?
Contractual agreement between us and you? Sure.
Do we have that?
We do have that. What we have is a contract. I hope the contract's current. That says that we represent the county and do an economic development stuff. Lists a lot of specific things. It includes owning and selling real estate.
Questions?
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm going to ask the question of because economic development is a little more intangible in a sense, can you explain exactly, or at least the high points of what you're doing with the buildings, with the land, and what happens if RCIDA decides, or for some reason they have to basically close the doors, if you will?
Rogers County gets our assets and we go on.
And when you say Rogers County, that means that the Board of County Commissioners will now be in the economic development business, or in the real estate business.
If it gets to the place where we have to close our doors, there won't be anything left for you to be in business with.
Exactly. So, I mean, and gentlemen, I just don't think that's a viable option.
If you think that's not a viable option, think about the one where you were in business.
I don't want that either. So with that said, can you tell us what it is that you do with the money that is sent to RCIDA? You know, besides building the buildings, what is it that you're out there doing to promote economic development? And then what are the benefits to the people of Rogers County after you achieve that?
Well, we're doing the original hunt and kill business, where you find somebody that's interested in expanding or wanting to relocate. We try to make a case for them, which is getting more and more difficult, about why they ought to be in Rogers County and what we can do for them. This whole purpose of this building idea that we have is to try to intercept the competition. And that is, nobody else is doing this. Everybody talks about all the stuff they're doing for small businesses. Fact is, hardly anyone's doing anything for small business. This gets us in a position where we will have something that we can do. And it's a reasonably priced building, reasonable quality building, and we can deliver it quickly. Quickly is the key. Some places around Rogers County, it'll take you 15, 18 months to find a piece of land, buy the land, get a permit, change the zoning, get it built, get it occupied. We got to be able to beat that. If we're going to just do that, then we're not going to do much. If we can beat the competition, then we have something to say.
Nobody else is doing what you're doing.
And nobody else in this area, as far as I'm aware. I can tell you though, in the marketplace, if you talk to a small business guy, this idea sounds really good. Because we can do a lease purchase thing if we can hold up to this. I don't know that we can have that yet. If we hold up to this, we can do a lease purchase agreement where he can own the building in 10 years. We don't want to own the building in 10 years because we don't want to be in the maintenance of buildings.
You put this on the agenda, what are you proposing?
I propose that we do what we did approximately a year ago and take some of the excess out of, is this the one right here?
Yes.
Out of account 03CB-200, courthouse bond proceeds for $300,000.
Okay, right now, last year, there was a vote to give about $700,000 of this for raises. Yes. And the radios, yes,
Radios.
are $70,000, so we're looking at roughly $750,000 of this already spent.
No, that's not accurate.
Teresa, is that accurate? Or
Teresa.
Jackie?
That was the numbers that Sophia gave me from the treasurer's office as the current balance. She didn't just tell me anything about what's being spent that that's been tied to yet.
Well, what I talked to Teresa
Teresa and I, yeah.
and Robin about this morning was that the close to $700,000 was voted last year for the raises. And then another $70,000 was for the radios. Am I not right?
That's-
I mean, Commissioner Thacker's sitting here shaking his head, but I assumed that was what we did.
$70,000 for the radios, you were going to look into that,
And this is where it has to come up?
and you've never brought that back to the board.
No, we're still waiting on John and them to get the numbers put together, the final numbers. But we know it's close to that. We do know that the raises that were voted on last year to be taken out of here were $650,000, I believe is what Teresa said this morning.
640,000.
Close to that, so we're looking at there's $110,000 left in here.
Out of 820,000.
Any remedies?
Whether or not we give them money, we need a contract. We didn't sign one last year, we need a contract if we're gonna operate underneath this. And it needs to be ratified through the board with Mr. Iskey looking at it.
Well, I've got a motion for $300,000. We don't have that much money. So do I have a second, or what do we?
Well, let me do this. Let me rescind my motion and table for 1 week so that we can look at this. And if I'm wrong, I'll come back and I'll say I'm wrong.
Agree, contract.
And I do want to make something real clear. I'm behind RCIDA 100%. You know, these funds should have been kept in this account. They weren't. That's been an issue with me. I voted against this last year. This money should be used for our economic development. Without economic development, our county doesn't grow. So we need to find ways of taking care of this. The new budget, there may be some ways some of this can be left in there and use some of the general fund for the raises that were given last year. But
Well, with that said, are you advocating that you do not take the 70,000 out for radios as well?
I don't think the 70,000 is the big issue here.
It's $70,000. You just said leave it in there for economic development, and then
I'll tell you what, if 820,000, if we would have taken 70,000 out of there, I can do the math on that pretty quick. We'd have had $750,000 left in there. We wouldn't have had any trouble with the 300.
I'm just saying it goes against what you just said.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so is the motion to
Just
To the table for 1
Debbie.
week.
Yeah, I wanted to address Commissioner Helm. We do have a contract yearly, fiscal yearly, because of the bond issues, and there is one on file.
for the bond?
Yeah, you have
For
to.
what Mickey's talking about.
Right.
As far as going in and building these buildings and financing.
Well, we
them.
don't have that specifically. The one that we had that Mr. Iskey drew up, that's a yearly one, is pretty generic,
For the bond.
but you do have to have that signed for us to do economic
But it's for the
development.
bond.
Yeah.
We agree with that. I agree with that. But what I'm talking about is what Mickey presented today. Do we have a contract for that?
We would have to specifically,
And that would be what Mr. Iskey needs to look at.
And we have had one, I just don't know what it's
Exactly. We
currently.
haven't had one, but it wasn't last year, it wasn't the year before that. So we need to go back and get one out if we're gonna do this.
Okay. Where are we on this? Did anybody have anything else? You do have a motion on the table to table for 1 week.
Second.
Delozer,
Aye.
Helm,
Aye.
Thacker.
Aye.
Motion's been carried to table 1 week.